Okay, this is the how-to video for the Michael edition of aminoethylpiperazine with polyethylene glycol diacrylate, followed by a polymerization reaction of this new polymer with paraformaldehyde. All right, so the first step for this reaction is getting a tiny beaker with a tiny stir bar, placing it in an ice bath for a few minutes to get it cold, and then you will add your aminoethylpiperazine via pipette, the correct amount, to the beaker. Once the aminoethylpiperazine or AEP has been added, place a rubber septa on it and place it back in the ice bath. While your AEP is cooling in the beaker, the next step is turning on the nitrogen. So to turn on the nitrogen for your reaction, the first step is turning on the main handle on the tank. And when you rotate it counterclockwise, you should hear a hiss and see the pressure change. All right. From here, we'll go to the hood and turn on the gas with the specialty gas knob. Now that the nitrogen is turned on from the main tank, we can take our specialty gas knob and also turn it counterclockwise to open the nitrogen to the manifold. Then you rotate our knob to point in the downward direction to open it to nitrogen. Then we take the needle on the end of the line and stick it into our septa. Of course, we need to relieve some of this pressure, and so then we take the needle from the bubbler and also stick that into the septa. The bubbler will allow us to monitor the pressure of the nitrogen, and based off of the rate of the bubbles, you can increase or decrease the pressure. This is actually a really good pressure for this type of experiment. Once the AEP in the beaker is nice and cold and it's been purging under nitrogen for about 5 minutes, you can remove the septa, place it to the side, take the beaker off, and this makes it easier to add or pipette the correct amount of diacrylate polymer into your beaker. This should be added in a nice, slow, dropwise motion as seen. Once the polymer is added, then you can place the beaker back into the ice bath and return the septum to the beaker. Once in the ice bath, you can turn the stir bar back on, and the reaction should only take about 10 to 15 minutes. So once your reaction is done and you have confirmed via IR that your carbon, double bond carbon bond is gone, you can remove the needles for the nitrogen and the bubbler. And then you can add your pre-weighed paraformaldehyde to the beaker and stir. Once you've added all of the PF and incorporated it all into the polymer, then you can pour/scrape it into the appropriate container. We are currently using the little silicone cupcake baking dishes. Once you've poured all of your polymers with the added paraformaldehyde, then you can go and place them in the oven. Once you place your samples in the oven, then you can close it, lock it, turn on the oven, and always double check the settings before you start. So to work the oven, press the left button, and it tells you that the initial temperature is set at 22 degrees, which is about what the room temp of the lab is. And so the oven is going to go or start at 22 degrees, and in 30 minutes, so time 1, it will raise to the second temperature of 90 degrees. And for 240 minutes or 4 hours, it will stay at the third temp of 90 degrees. And then in 30 minutes, it is going to go back down to room temp. And this negative 121 number for the final time is the automated off number that the oven understands as I will not continue on to whatever setting is next. Okay. So you can either wait the 1 minute for these settings to go away, or you can always turn off the oven, turn it back on. Your settings will stay the same. And then you press and hold the run button. And as soon as it says run and the output light begins blinking, that means that it will go ahead and get started on the temperature and time settings that you have set for this reaction. So then you can come back in 4 hours and take your samples out of the oven. Once your samples are in the oven, don't forget that as part of your cleanup, you also need to turn off the nitrogen. So turn off the manifold, turn off the special gas, and most importantly, turn off the tank. Once the oven is done and your samples are done, then feel free to grab some of the oven gloves and tongs in order to safely take them out of the oven. From there, you can poke them with glass stir rods to check and see if they are solid. Or if they are solid, then feel free to pop them out and go and do whatever testing that you're planning on doing next with them. And that is the end of the Michael addition reaction, followed by the polymerization with paraformaldehyde, specifically for the diacrylate polymers.